Top of the morning, ladies and gentlemen, top of the morning. This is your boy ATP, Aidenthepayden. I like that. Yeah, top of the morning, man. Man, we out here with the cosmos, just like absorbing, soaking up this photosynthesis, like the atmosphere. It's good to be outside, ladies and gentlemen. And also for everyone that's actually right now in prison, I know you are also, in prison in your own mind, and then like the body itself is now in prison, so man, I'm praying and I'm wishing for your release. I'm praying and I'm wishing for your release. So on that note, what I actually wanted to discuss today in this lesson is only going to be for 10 minutes. What the pituitary gland is, and what does it do? But before we get into that, I just wanted to say, before all of this can actually come into be, right? First of all, we actually need, like, God is so good, like the creator is so good that we actually need how do you say this? An XX chromosome and an XY chromosome. So he is so amazing that he created an XY chromosome and an XX chromosome. And with the XX chromosome, like that's normally going to be the female, and with the XY chromosome, that's actually going to be the man. So we have this thing that's called the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is actually responsible for a female's production of this thing that we call prolactin in the medical terminology. And what prolactin is actually responsible. This is a chemical. It's a messenger. The pituitary gland is actually a messenger gland. So the pituitary gland is actually responsible for the growth mechanism, or should I say the reproductive system, right? So if the reproductive system is actually, that's how, like each and every organs and glands as well as the body itself grows, the pituitary gland is responsible for that. The pituitary gland is also responsible for telling the thyroid glands to make more hormones, to stimulate the whole entire body. Now, the pituitary gland is actually in the base of your brain, right? And if it's in the base of your brain, therefore, it is an attachment to the central nervous system, because the central nervous system, like I could pinch my skin and I feel that, but the central nervous system, like that's your whole how you feel stuff, and it's literally a part of your brain. It's like literally your brain, right? And not just that too, because the brain itself is an attachment to the happy hormones. The happy hormones is an attachment reverse way to the optic nerve. And when we're dealing with the optic nerve, that's how you can see. So everyone that's actually wearing glasses out there in the world, something is literally wrong with their optic nerve. But within my research, biology is amazing. It happens to be the study of life, actually. So I've found a second brain. So let's say the first brain is up here in your head, but the second brain is normally going to be your stomach. Yeah, the stomach itself, it's a garbage disposal. That's where you would put all your food, send everything that you've partaken, put it in your mouth, and it's a process, actually, and I'm going to break the process down. So with the second brain, I'm not talking about the head, I'm talking about the stomach, because when it comes to the stomach, right, the stomach itself, which is the gastrointestinal system, it has its own, in a sense, organs and glands that's literally attached to it. And how I'm going to break this down to the general public is that, let's say, for instance, this is only my synapses. The gastrointestinal system has this organ inside of it that's called the pancreas, right? So normally the pancreas would have only two jobs, and you already know the gastrointestinal system That only has one job, which is to digest your food, and how that digest your food through the breaking down of metabolism. It breaks these food down in the gastrointestinal system. That's the only thing that it does. It just breaks these food down. That's what the gastrointestinal system do. So it depends on the food, the type of food that you're putting in your system. If it's detrimental to your health, you're going to have a lot of things that we call in the medical terminology pathogens. Now, if you Google pathogens, it's on another level of its own, right? But let's say you are intaking properties that contains monosaccharide, which is like one simple sugar, right? If you're partaking into one simple sugar, which is monosaccharide, when it's going down, when you take that and you put it inside of your mouth, and now you have these hydrochloric acid within inside of your mouth, that's going to actually help to break these food properties down before it goes down the esophagus. And not just that too, because the hydrochloric acid that's within the esophagus is breaking everything down before it goes into the actual stomach, where it is going to digest prior to those hydrochloric acid that's within inside of the gut. When that leaves from within inside of the gut, depending on the type of food you're actually intaking. Remember, we have different types of sugar out there, and monosaccharide happens to be the simple and necessary sugar that you actually need, in a sense, to create or achieve homeostasis. Homeostasis. I guess that's the word that I'm trying to use. So, let's say the food is actually good for you. So it's gonna go down the mouth, the esophagus, and when it's actually in the stomach, it's gonna be digested, and then it's gonna leave the gastrointestinal system. It's gonna go towards the large intestine. Then it leaves the large intestine, go to the small intestine. Then it leaves the small intestine. It goes right inside of the duodenum, right? Now, this food that's going inside of the duodenum, it is okay for it to go inside of the duodenum. You know why? Because it's good food. It's monosaccharide, so it's good. And when this actually goes inside of the duodenum, now this is what's happening. One of the organs that's actually inside of the that aids with digestion inside of the gastrointestinal system. That organ is called the pancreas, and the pancreas is literally a part of the gastrointestinal system. Now, the pancreas is also a part of this messenger system that's called the endocrine system, because the endocrine system happens to be a messenger system, and let's say the integumentary system happens to be a system that deals with your skin. The skeletal system happens to be talking about your bones. The lymphatic system happens to be talking about your white blood cells, or whether it's a white blood cell or it's a T blood cell, which being that the white blood cells, literally, there's actually two types of white blood cells. So your B blood cells would literally be in your spinal cord, and your T blood cells would be inside of your thymus, the thymus gland, which is also another gland. So when you learn how to dissect and decode these things, because the circulatory system, that's literally a part of your leukocytes, where you're gonna be activating these grandocytes. Grandocytes, is that for like the white blood cells that brings oxidation throughout the whole body system. So what I do is I literally dissect and decode all of these things, right? And when I do it, it's like a homework that I'm doing for myself. And what I came across is like the pituitary gland. That's actually responsible for a female production of not just milk, a female production of how, in a sense, that her baby is going to be formed when she conceives. And how it is like, if she does not have healthy cells or healthy eggs inside of her ovaries, like something is going to basically wrong with the baby. So we are who we eat. We are who we eat, because what happened is what happens is the pituitary gland is going to tell the thyroid gland to create hormones, right? And the thyroid gland is going to tell the endocrine system to make hormones. Now, she's actually, which is the XX chromosome, she's actually going to be high on this thing that's called progestin or progesterone. When she's high on progestin or progesterone, she is going to be looking for the XY chromosome. When she finds the XY chromosome, they're actually going to intermingle. When they intermingle, we're going to create this thing that's called zygote. That is the fertilization of a male gamete with a female egg. And through the process of zygote, fertilize inside of her ovary, now we have a fetus. The fetus itself is going to literally grow its own defense mechanism, because this is how great and amazing God is. By the fetus grow its own defense mechanism, form this thing that in the medical terminology we would call it a placenta. And what the placenta is like this barrier with water inside of a sac to protect the baby from, which is actually called the gestational sac. So this gestational sac, which is a fetus, is literally inside of her ovaries, is going to leave the ovary, travel down the oviduct, which is actually the fallopian tube. Now it's going back inside of the uterus. And this is where you have a baby developing inside of the human body, right? Now, when the baby is literally inside of the human body, she's going to be high on this thing that's called prolactin, which is actually which the pituitary gland is actually responsible for, because the pituitary gland is going to send this chemical signal to the endocrine system and to her ovaries. Actually, that's so amazing, right? The pituitary gland is going to send this chemical signal to her ovaries and her endocrine system. Now she's going to be able to create this thing that's called prolactin. And what prolactin is the female's natural ability to create milk. When she creates milk, the female milk is naturally what, that's within monosaccharide, because milk is essential for a baby development, right? Monosaccharide consists of galactose, fructose, and glucose. And what prolactin is, that's galactose actually, that's milk, right? And what glucose is, that's vegetables. And what fructose is, that's fruits, right? So if a person is actually suffering from diabetes, it's because he or she has too much glucose within their blood, and glucose happens to be vegetables. For instance, a potato isn't a fruit, but a potato happens to be a vegetables. A potato breaks down into the body via metabolism and turns into starch sugar, right? So a potato happens to be glucose, which happens to be monosaccharide vegetables. And when it comes to fruits now, we have fruits like a pineapple, mango, watermelon, apple, oranges. Those are fruits, But I'm doing my research, and I'm really looking into the pituitary gland. And this gland is actually responsible for all of the glands systems in your body, and like these are like your thyroid glands, your hypothalamus gland, actually the endocrine system that consists of several glands as well, including the actual pancreas, And when we're dealing with the pancreas literally only has two jobs. Like, the pancreas jobs is to help aid with the second brain, and the second brain actually happens to be your stomach, which is also the garbage disposal system, because your stomach, we take in everything through our mouth. It goes down inside of our stomach, and we actually pass that out through one of the system that's called the excretory system. We also got the urinary system, but the urinary system is different from the excretory system. because when we're dealing with the urinary system, we're actually using our kidneys, to filter each and every toxic metabolic waste that we put inside of our body, and that filters each and everything through, and we pee it out through the process of urination. And when it comes to the excretory system, see, like, our body would get rid of these metabolic waste prior to excreting these things through the excretory system, where whether you're a male or female, you have a buttocks to pass things out, that's considered fecal matter, you know. So the reason why we would pass things out so much is because we are eating things that's detrimental to our lives. Now, what's actually essential to our lives is actually monosaccharide, or should I say, properties in a sense, right? Properties in a sense that looks like this. Anything that's green, right? Anything that's green actually aids with, I don't want to use the word cure because I am not trying to get my channel blocked, but anything that looks like this color that happens to be monosaccharide. For instance, this is a tree. I just picked a tree. So these are leaves, but the color of this happens to be green, right? So any type of glucose, which glucose happens to be your vegetables on the planet, but any properties that happens to have the color of this, that actually aids, I'm not going to use the word cure because I don't want my channel to be blocked, but that actually aids with any type of autoimmune disease that you may be experiencing in your body, which happens to be a discomfort, right? And with these properties, just literally these properties alone, you're actually aiding and helping your circulatory and your respiratory system, because these is actually going to activate one of your leukocytes, the one that's actually, I think it's the granulocytes. The granulocytes. So what I'm trying to say is, like, these is actually going to activate the leukocytes, and the type of leukocytes that's going to activate is the granulocytes. And I think the granulocytes, if I'm not correct, perhaps further in the future someone else could comment on this and correct me, but I think the granulocytes is like what's responsible for your production, and your production, not just production, but the utilization of your red blood cells. And the red blood cells only has, like, literally, to me, one job. It's like to bring oxygen throughout the whole body system, and this happens to have a lot of oxygen inside of it because it's green. So any green properties, anything that's green inside of the world, anything that's green has oxygen inside of it. So if a person is suffering from, let's say, acidosis, is that the correct way to say it? Acidosis, a lot of acid gas built up inside of the body, or they tend to fart a lot. Excuse my French. They tend to pass their gas a lot frequently throughout the day, or they're like, even if they smoke a lot, so they are actually oxygen deficiency. And this would actually, like, the green stuff would actually brings back oxygen within inside of the body and cure gastrointestinal arthritis. I can't say these words. Like, these words is amazing. So any form of itis that's, like, inside of the stomach discomfort, the green properties is actually, will replenish your oxygen. And any form of, like, monosaccharide that happens to be red, right? Anything that happens to be red aids with pigmentation and cell regeneration throughout the integumentary system. And the integumentary system happens to do dealing with your skin, because that's how your skin would actually absorb photosynthesis, which is ultraviolet ray. And one of the things that I realize, most people on this planet, well, in America that is, we tend to be how should I say this? This is a new word that I'm going to make up. We tend to be sun deficiency. Like, we don't absorb, or we don't go and spend a lot of time in the sun and absorb photosynthesis. ultraviolet ray, we don't absorb enough sunlight. So when you don't absorb enough sunlight, that's like you getting robbed of energy. Not just that too, because the integumentary system actually needs enough sunlight, and the sunlight is going to penetrate through the through your pores and goes inside of your kidney. Your kidneys is actually going to convert that into some chemical and put it back out of your skin. Like, this is amazing how God did this with us. It's just a lot to learn about the body. But what happened when it comes to the pituitary gland, is that's actually responsible for the way the brain actually function and operate. So if a person is like literally thinking negative all the time, whether you're female or male, if you're thinking negative all the time, that's you're having that's actually putting a lot of stress on your whole body, because now your whole body is going to be thinking negative, and your organs and system is going to be negative, because these things actually are alive. Like the organs, your organs, tissue, everything inside of you is alive. So the human body itself has trillions of beings, or things inside of us that's actually alive. Even when you are sleeping yourself, which is the central nervous system, your brain, your divine connection to God, you are sleeping. You're no longer, you're off this earth, but you don't know what's going on, and your body system is still alive, working. Your consciousness isn't here, it's gone somewhere else, right? But your body is still in the present, in your bed, sleeping, and your heart is still beating, your lungs is still working, you're snoring and all. So your body is alive, and these systems, everything inside of you is alive, and it depends on what you eat. What you eat, that's how you're going to actually preserve this temple that you have. So the best things that's actually going to aid with the brain is actually monosaccharide, and like you have to eat a lot of nuts. Like I would advise y'all to just like go out there and because what happened is, it even say this in the Bible, but I think the grains, right? The grains and the seeds, grains and the seeds and the fruits, is a healing of the nation. But it's not just that too, because what I've realized is like the grains and the seeds, those are what I would consider my nuts, right? And these nuts would basically add minerals and nutrients back into your body by, for instance, like if you eat a lot of walnuts, right? Walnuts contains iron. So that's good. Not just that too, I think omega-3, right? Omega-3, and the pituitary gland actually needs omega-3. And what gives omega-3 again is fish. But I wouldn't advise every person in the world to eat fish, because the fish happens to be one of God's creation as well, just like you. So the fish is going to be looking at you like, yo, why you eating me, trying to take my omega-3? But yeah, man, if y'all don't eat fish and y'all don't eat animals, you can literally get your omega-3 from nuts. Just like eat all types of nuts. Just go out there and just like start eating nuts. Cashews, peanuts, walnuts, just you name it. The grains is here for us to eat. And another thing that I wanted to add, it is always good for your blood and your body to be oxygenated at all times, right? And when it comes to oxidation stress on the body, that actually can be detrimental, right? So the advice that I have for the general public, what actually increases your red blood intake, right? What actually increases your red blood intake, yeah, is normally like those little green stuff like that, right? But what does it faster is this thing that's called the beets, or beetroots, or beets, right? So the more beets you eat, you're not just like flushing out your system, right? This is what it's going to be doing. It's going to push out the toxic blood and give you new blood. So if you eat beets for a whole week, but normally people on the planet, we're supposed to eat beets. We're supposed to eat it. But this is what I'm saying though. Eat beets for 7 days straight, every day, morning, evening, and with regular food. and it's going to push out all of the toxic blood that you have inside of your blood, you're going to pass that blood out. Like, what I'm saying is, this is called like, how do you say this, a blood transfusion, how to get rid of your own red blood cells and get new blood cells, right? You see how a person would go to the doctor and the doctor say, oh, you need a blood transfusion, so we're going to put a tube inside of your hand, and then we're going to connect you to another person or connect you to a machine, and we're going to give you this blood. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to create your own blood inside of the avatar. Now, if something is wrong with your blood, and the type of blood that I will be talking about, like, yeah, these consist of your leukocytes, but the type of blood that I will be actually talking about is your red blood cell. The red blood cell's job is to make sure oxygen go out through the whole circulatory system, right? When the oxygen is going through the whole circulatory system, you're going to have a good respiratory flow. Now, what gives you red blood cells, or what cleans and replenish your red blood cells with more red blood cells, at the same time you're going to be losing those toxic blood cells that's within inside of your body, and it also aids with both deportation, the excretory system, as well as the urinary system, is beets. Beets is going to purify the blood, because beets happens to be a red substance, and beets happens to be one of the ingredients that I would use for my lycopene, for my skin pigment pigment discomfort or deformity, which I happens to like to use the word vitiligo. And what vitiligo is, those are the forms, or in a sense, cancer cells. Now, I was born with this vitiligo. Look, I have one tiny cancer cells on my body. Wait, look, see? Wait, see? That is see? I'm black as hell, right? But I got a white cancer cells on my body. So I was born with this, and after I've done my research, I came to the understanding that this is called vitiligo. So if a person is experiencing vitiligo, this is the only one I have over my body. But people, or other people in the world, tends to get it all over their face and all over their body, and I only have one on my arm, right? Now, what happened is you would have to eat certain food to make this cancer cells not, in a sense, how do you say this, multiply, because the cancer cells has the ability to multiply really fast, and when they multiply really fast, they would be eating away the pigmentation of your skin, and that would what we would consider in the medical terminology apoptosis. So it is imperative for everyone, in a sense, to actually make their own form of lycopene, and what that is each and every red fruits and red vegetables in the world. And when it comes to beets happens to be a red color, so it is going to aid with my discomfort. On that note, if y'all actually just joining this room, this is your boy ATP, Aidenthepayden, and welcome back to another episode of the University of Cosmic Awareness. On this channel, we only do health talk. That's how it is. Peace.